Hi, Patricia, can you state your name and the court that you're running for?
My name is Patricia Cole. I'm running for probate court number 1.
Okay, and why are you running for this office?
All I've ever done is probate, and this is the next step for me in the service base of what I've done in the past. I've been involved in a lot of nonprofits that have helped people, and the next natural step is to be judge of the probate court. I would not want to be judge of any other court, just this court, because it's what I do and it's what I know.
And in that same light, can you briefly describe your qualifications for the office?
Well, I have 17 years experience in doing all 4 areas of the law that this court hears. A lot of people don't understand what probate is, but it is not only probating wills, but also dealing with guardianships, mental health, which I spent 12 years doing in defense of people who the state was trying to remove their rights, and also civil litigation that involves the elderly and their assets or the deceased and their assets. And I also have 20 years experience working with the party. I've been very involved, including with the Tarrant County Republican Club. In the 2016 election, I was actually at the polls passing out cards. And then I also have 17 years experience in the business arena, because I owned a business for 17 years that had very similar employees and budget that this court has, which is a very large one compared to a lot of the other courts. So I think out of all the candidates, I'm probably the most qualified.
What do you believe the proper role of government is?
Proper role of government? Well, that's kind of a vague question. If you mean from the standpoint of a judge, the judge's role is to follow the law and apply the law to the facts of the case in front of them. I think that the government, while it needs to help the individual citizens on a broader base, it's not to control every aspect of our lives. And I truly believe in small government. So I think that in our country we've become too codependent on the government taking care of everything for us. And so I'm not exactly sure which direction you were asking me to go in that particular situation, but on those 2 realms, that's what I think.
When and for what reason should state or local government be allowed to seize private property under eminent domain?
Well, that's a pretty passionate question. I really don't like eminent domain at all. I think that it's wrong for the government to strip landowners of their land. One of the biggest things that Texas has done in the past is create this special deed that allows people to transfer their assets upon death, so that Medicare cannot come in and seize their property upon death. That's a big deal for me. Eminent domain, if it's, I would really say never. I mean, the government should be forced to buy property from landowners just like anybody else would.
Is Texas in need of civil asset forfeiture reform?
Civil asset forfeiture. Well, I think so, because I think that there's been too much aggressive reaching into seizing assets, especially when someone has not been proven to have actually done anything wrong. And I think that the laws are a little too lenient on the benefit of the government and them being able to come in and do pretty much whatever they want. And I don't agree with that at all.
What are the top 3 issues for your campaign?
For my campaign or for this court?
For your campaign.
Top 3 issues for my campaign. The fact that I have 5 people in it, that's a pretty big issue, because that dilutes the vote of the people, which means there will be likely a runoff. I think that the biggest issue is that this court really needs an experienced attorney that has done this type of law, and not just one part of the law or other parts of the law, but all 4 areas, and also that has a really good understanding of managing 12 employees and $2.3 million budget of taxpayers' money. And my concern is that if there's support for someone who's not that qualified or doesn't have the business background and understanding that it could very well hurt the citizens of this community because the court would be weakened. And the campaign itself is going really well. So, I don't have any too extreme concerns in that area.
Okay, what do you believe are the top 3 things that make you more qualified than your opponents?
Well, and I guess I've already covered that, but I do believe that I'm extremely experienced in all 4 areas. I think that's a very important part of this court because the court it touches the lives of so many people in Tarrant County. A lot of people don't understand what probate is until they're in the court, and whether it's a guardianship, mental health, or probate. But once you're in it, you understand how important it is and how many millions and billions of dollars of taxpayers' money that is managed and handled by this court. Whether it's someone dying or whether it's a guardianship or a civil litigation case. And the fact that I have been a business owner and I do understand the management. This court's very different than a lot of the district courts. A lot of the district courts have a much smaller budget. They have a few employees. This court deals with a lot of different things. And the fact that it does handle 3 very important social issues that affect citizens in this county, I think that makes that a very important trait that I have that none of the other candidates have, the experience in business that I have. And the fact that, I've been involved in this party. I've helped other conservatives get elected. I've, spent my own money, my own time helping on campaigns for different people that I believed were really good, and they have turned out to be really good servants of the community. And I don't think you have that with any of my opponents, and so I think that's an important issue that I bring forth a true conservative mentality. I know I'm already at 3, but I have some great endorsements because of my beliefs and because of my involvement in the past, including Texas Right to Life and Homeschool Association, so Texas Homeschool. So.
Now, I understand in your case that you have a business background. Speaking as a fiscal conservative, are there any changes that you would have in mind for making with the probate court to try to make it more fiscally responsible? Yes.
I think that there's several problems with this particular court in the sense that there are a couple positions that I would likely find better avenues or better uses for those employees in making and streamlining the court so that it's working faster for citizens. One of the biggest problems with probate courts in general all over the state is that people get pulled into this court through guardianship or probate, and the case drags out for a long time, and the citizen's the one that's damaged by that. And what I would like to do is start utilizing the associate judge that's currently there. He's a wonderful judge. And utilizing him to handle more non-contested matters so that the citizens are able to get their day in court a lot faster. And we're not wasting time backtracking and wasting employee and staff time redoing things over and over again because we don't get to court fast enough. That would free up my time as the judge of the court to hear more contested cases and get those cases, which sometimes involve real estate transactions, businesses when someone dies or has a guardianship, and it gets those cases and they're handled a lot quicker and faster so that the families or the owners are not struggling with, oh, we're tied up in probate for 2 years and here we can't do anything, our hands are tied. And so I think streamlining the court to moving faster is a really important thing. I also would like to see the court go out to sub-courthouses because I think what that does, it's something that was started by the first judge of this court many years ago. And what it does is it enables people to be in their own community, and it's a lot more efficient and quicker for them to get to court, have a hearing, and that's something that only Court 2 does right now.
Please describe your political experience as well as any experience you have as an election volunteer, staffer, candidate, or office holder, and then be sure to include the names of any candidates or office holders for whom you have worked or volunteered.
Okay. How much time do I have? Okay, I have worked in a lot of different campaigns. I started in law school and revamped the student section of the of the Republican Club. It had kind of gone dormant for a while, and while I was there, I did work with Kay Granger's campaign on a fundraiser, which involved the Bushes at the time. And then since then, Mayor Price, I've worked with Judge Brooke Allen, I've worked with Constable John Siegel. Let me think if I can think of all of them. Judge Don Pearson. I'm probably missing a dozen, but so for the last since I moved to Tarrant County, I've always been a Republican. I've grown up one, and probably within 2 weeks, I registered to vote in Tarrant County, and I've been active ever since then. I've worked the polls, I've worked events, I've worked fundraisers, I've walk blocked, I've made phone calls, and I've been involved with Fort Worth Republican Women probably for 12 years now, and we do a lot of phone banks, and so I'm not even sure. I'm sure there's people out there like, Jane Nelson or someone that we've worked with that I don't remember is all. I've been involved with the Fort Worth Republican Women and worked on their committees. Went to back when we used to be a part of the Federation, went to the Federation Convention, was a delegate at one point, was a volunteer on a couple of occasions, so I've been very, very active for a long time.
Is there anything else you'd like to tell the voters?
I take this job very seriously, and I think that it's important for this court to have not only an experienced person, but also a person that's very conscious of the community and the community's needs. And I view it as a public service. I was appointed by Governor Perry several years ago to be on the Council for the Department of Family Protective Services, which oversees CPS, but it also oversees APS, which was my side of things, because I really had a passion to make sure that APS did their job when it comes to our elder citizens. And I'm very proud of all the things that Tarrant County has been able to accomplish in both of those realms, CPS and APS. And public service has always been a part of my life. And to me, this is just public service. It's not a stepping stone. It's not a job. I don't want to be a Court of Appeals judge. I just want to do a good job for the citizens of Tarrant County.
All right. You guys have anything?
No. All right. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hopefully I didn't talk too fast.